What's going on, guys? The Comics Kid 2099 here. Today, I am going to discuss episode 9 of the King Arthur Netflix series Cursed. This episode is titled Poisons, and I can barely keep up with what's going on in this series anymore. There are a lot of subplots and characters and different factions all against each other in this series. I've said before, this is very Game of Thrones with the War of the Five Kings in Game of Thrones, and how there was some question of the legitimacy of the king or the heir to the throne, and then that puts the entire world at war with each other. That's pretty much what's going on here, except this series does not handle that very well. There are so many things at work here. You have Nimue, who is in charge of the Fae. She has kind of fallen into being the queen of the Fae. Then you have Morgana, who is being manipulated by Kaliak, the spider goddess, to possibly betray Nimue, because Morgana has been told that she is going to be the greatest sorceress in the land. Then you have Merlin, who I think wants to destroy the sword. Sometimes he tells someone else, no, I don't want to destroy the sword, but then he tells other people that he wants to. Then you have Uther, who has been up until now believing that he was the rightful king of the land, but then he found out that he is not the biological son of his mom. She bought him when he was a baby because her biological son died. And then you have the Red Paladins, who will pretty much ally themselves with anybody as long as they can get the sword and kill the Wolfblood Witch. That's Nimue. And then you also have other factions of the church who aren't entirely in line with the Red Paladins. I'll go ahead and count that as 6 because we had a guy a few episodes ago that Father Cardin, he's the main Red Paladin, he seemed to be kind of afraid of, and now we have someone else who is not wearing red, so I don't know if he counts as a Red Paladin, but he is part of the church. He's introduced in this episode basically to kind of argue with Father Cardin a little bit. You have Cumber, the Ice King. He is a cousin of the Pendragon baby who died that the Queen Mother replaced with Uther. And then his daughter is also with him. Then you've got Rugen, the Leper King. He is the guy that Merlin stole Feyfire from a while back. Then you have the Red Spear. That is another group of Vikings who are at war with Cumber, the Ice King. And then you have Iris, who was raised in the convent that Morgana was in when we first met her. And then she wants to be a Red Paladin. And then she went and burned the convent down that she was raised in. The Red Paladins don't want anything to do with her. So for some reason, she wants to kill Nimue, and then she thinks that the Red Paladins will take her in. And then also, I guess I should go ahead and count this one, number 11. I'm running out of fingers. Number 11 is the Weeping Monk. It seems like we are now seeding the possibility that he is going to break off from the Red Paladins. He has been their main weapon against the Fae this entire series, but we found out, I think, in the last episode that he is actually Fae. Something happened, and some grass or a leaf or something touched him, and his skin turned green. And we saw back in the first episode, Father Cardin took a leaf and put it on a Fae person's skin, and then their skin turned green. Now, that would not work with every Fae, because we have some Fae who don't look like the other Fae. They look more or less human. For example, the Green Knight. But if he touches like a bow or something, his skin doesn't turn green. So I don't know how this works or how it sometimes works. But anyway, the Green Knight and the Weeping Monk, they discuss things a little bit like, hey, you're Fae even though you're lost. And so it seems like we're setting up that he is going to break off from the Red Paladins. He doesn't like that they are going to be torturing Squirrel, who came to rescue the Green Knight. So that is 11 different factions that are all kind of got their own alliance going on. And I didn't even count people who are allied with Nimue, like Arthur or Pym. They are pretty much in Camp Nimue. That's a lot of stuff to be going on, and we're only 9 episodes out of 10 through this series. Now, in theory, a series could have probably juggled all of this. I just don't think this series could. There is so much stuff that will be introduced and then discarded so that we can introduce more subplots, and then just when you think, okay, we're never going to see or hear from that again, then it will bring it back, and then it doesn't do it in a way that makes sense. The Rugen, the Leper King, he's the guy that Merlin stole Feyfire from. He sent this assassin to go and kill Merlin. And so that was like 2 or 3 episodes ago. It was in the In Ale We Come to Bring Home Good, something. It was in that episode. And then in this episode, very beginning of the episode, Merlin gets shot by an arrow. And it's this assassin guy that Rugen sent. And then he says, I would have done this for free because of what you did to Father. And then Merlin kills the guy. This series spent 2 episodes setting up this creepy assassin who was going around looking for Merlin, and then kills him at the beginning of the episode. I think because the series realizes we have way too much stuff going on, we're going to have to clear the board a little bit so that we can have some kind of satisfying conclusion to this series that doesn't feel like a clustercuss because there's so much stuff going on. I would have rather either don't introduce this assassin guy, just have something else happen to Merlin, because this guy, he stabbed Merlin with an arrow, or shot him with an arrow, and then later Merlin is looking at the wound, and there's like green stuff all around it, and I can't tell if Merlin just put herbs on it to try and heal the wound, or if that's something that's growing out of him because of the poisoned arrow, and maybe he's going to die at an inconvenient moment for everybody else in episode 10. I have no idea. But if you need Merlin to die, don't introduce this assassin guy and make it seem like he's really important and then kill him like it's nothing. This reminds me of back when The Last Jedi came out and everyone was talking about subverting expectations. It's fine sometimes to throw a twist in there and make people go like, oh wow, I can't believe that happened. Sometimes that's okay, but I can't even tell the direction that the path is going. A twist ending generally works whenever you have a pretty much straight and narrow path and then it takes a turn that was unexpected. Like, oh wow, that's really cool. And then when you go back and you watch it again, then you can say, okay, I see where that twist is coming now, but I didn't see it coming the first time. This series has so much stuff being juggled, it is impossible to see which direction the series is going. And if I go back and watch it again, it is once again going to be impossible for me to tell where all this stuff is coming from. The Weeping Monk, he is possibly being set up to be his own faction. Maybe he's going to break away from the Red Paladins. Maybe he's going to kill Father Cardin and take over the Red Paladins. I have no idea. But way back whenever the Weeping Monk was introduced, this was not part of his character. Because we've barely gotten to spend any time with this guy, all he does, he comes in, he whispers something, and then he kills some Fae. That has been his character. And now suddenly we're trying to make him seem conflicted. That was not something that was set up way back at the beginning of the series. So I can't say, oh, okay, I could see that twist coming if I had just been paying attention whenever I go back and watch the series again, if I went back and watched the series again. There's so much of that going on here. When Morgana is first introduced, first of all, we didn't even know that her name was Morgana. She was calling herself Sister Igraine for some reason, because there was a mix-up when she was brought to the convent. I have no idea how they get Igraine from Morgana, but when she was first introduced, she was not introduced as a power-hungry sorceress who thinks that she can do a better job protecting the Fae than Nimue can. That was introduced a couple of episodes ago, and really was just tacked on because people who are aware of the Arthurian mythos know that Morgan Le Fay is generally a bad guy. Sometimes you'll have people like Marion Zimmer Bradley who will portray her as more of a good guy, and I was kind of hoping the series would do something like that, or if she's a bad guy, then at least you understand why she's doing what she's doing. No, the series just has her meet Kaliak, the spider goddess, or possibly meet her zombie lover who works for Kaliak now, and she says, oh, okay, I'll work for Kaliak then. It comes completely out of nowhere. It does not feel natural. It does not feel earned. You do have a pretty well-acted scene, I feel like, where Arthur is trying to clear the air with his sister. She's pretty much been upset with him since these two have been in the same scenes together, about episode 4 or 5, because when he was younger, he took her to Hector, who was married to their aunt, and then Hector took her to the convent. And she's been mad at Arthur for that this whole time. Now, I don't know why, because she seemed pretty happy at the convent. That's where she met her girlfriend. She was really upset when the abbess was crucified or burned alive. She was upset about that. So I don't know why she's mad that she was sent to the convent, since she seemed like that was her home. She seemed pretty okay being there. But she's upset with Arthur, and he rightly points out, I was 12 years old. What was I supposed to do when a grown man sends you to a convent? How was I supposed to prevent that from happening? And then she says, okay, well, get out of here. And then she found a dead dog on the street, and she's going to do something with the dead dog. I have no idea. Then you have Nimue. She chops off a Fae guy's hands because he killed a non-Fae person living in the village. And then she's upset. You've got a couple of different people giving her different offers. You have Merlin. He comes back, and she seems okay to see him now, even though the last time these two interacted, she said she never wanted to see him again. Merlin says that Cumber, the Ice King, if she gives him the sword, he will imprison her in a dungeon. And she says, I don't think so. And then Uther sends someone to tell her basically the same thing. If you give me the sword, I will imprison you. And then she sits on this, and then she decides, okay, Uther has now said that he is going to give ships to the Fae, and then they can go and find a home somewhere else up north. And so she is going to go to Uther, and then she has sex with Arthur. And I don't care because these characters have not spent enough time together for me to feel like this love story has really progressed. This just kind of happens. There was a little bump in their romance at first whenever Arthur stole the sword, and then Nimue got it back, and then like the following episode, she's okay with Arthur, and they're back to having their will they, won't they. This just kind of happens because Nimue says, I'm going to go away and I need you to watch over everyone. First of all, how is that going to work? None of the Fae like or trust Arthur. If Nimue goes away and she's only told Arthur that he needs to watch over the Fae, are they going to listen to what Arthur has to say? I'm thinking probably not. But anyway, I'm trying to think of anything else that happened. Uther poisons his mom, and I wish I could feel like this was a big oh yeah moment because his mom, who by the way doesn't even have a name, I don't think. Everyone has just called her my lady or mother. I don't even think she had a name, but she's basically this series version of Cersei Lannister, kind of trying to manipulate things through her children who are sitting on the throne, except that with Cersei, I feel like I'm watching someone who is actually intelligent and is actually able to play the game. This woman, I don't feel like she's intelligent. She admits to her son, you are not my real son, and now you're going to do whatever I have to say, and then you will be able to hold on to the throne, because I'm going to be ruling from behind the scenes. And as soon as she told him that, I was thinking, why does he have to listen to you? He could just have you executed, and then he would still be the king. You have no power here. You don't have anything over him. And then he poisons her, and then he says, you killed my mom, and you're evil. And I'm thinking, yeah, she killed your mom, and yeah, she's been evil. Everything that we've seen with her has portrayed her as being very evil, but then also she raised you, so it's kind of like you're killing the woman who is the closest to being your mom. And Uther, I wasn't really sure how I felt about him when the series first began because we weren't getting a whole lot with them. I don't like him. I feel like he's playing himself kind of like Joffrey. Again, this is basically Diet Game of Thrones. He acts like a whiny child a lot of times, even though he's in his 30s. He always talks in the royal we. I don't remember which monarch it was that would talk like that, where by themselves they would say, we are not pleased, or something like that. And that just irritates me. I don't know if that's the writers or if that's the actor bringing that into the role, but I don't really like it. I think that's stupid. Basically, I have no idea what's going on here because the series has so much that's going on. At the end of the episode, Cumber's daughter goes to Carden and says that Cumber would like to form an alliance with the Red Paladins. And okay, I don't care because there's still like 800 different things that I'm having to keep up with here. So at the end, Nimue, I guess, decides she's going to turn herself in so that the Fae can have freedom, and then something is going to happen. I don't know what. So anyway, I'm not really digging this show. I still have no idea what's going on. I wish that this show was better. I was excited for this when I saw the first trailer, tentatively excited, because I wanted something that was a little closer to typical King Arthur lore, but I was willing to be proven wrong that this would be really good. And after the first episode, I was excited, and then after that, I started to not be. So that's about it for this episode. Oh, no, it's not. Iris, I guess, has voices in her head. At one point, she's talking to herself, and she says, like, you need to kill her, or I'll burn you. And she has, like, a candle there, and then she's crying and saying, oh, I'll kill her. And then she goes to Pym and says, can I be your servant? And Pym says no, and then Iris starts insulting her. I guess that's a good way to try and get yourself into the castle, and then Pym just walks off, and that's all we see. But I guess Iris is crazy. That has not been something that we've seen up until now, that she has voices in her head. It's kind of like Gollum from Lord of the Rings, except it's not as interesting, and it just comes completely out of nowhere. With Gollum, I got the feeling, he was tortured for however long by Sauron and his people, and he had this evil ring that was kind of corrupting him for, a century or two. I bought it whenever he was talking to himself. With Iris, I don't. So anyway, that really is it. I hate this series. I can't wait for it to be done.